do electric flux and electric flux density. Electric flux and flux density. Electric flux and electric flux density. This is it. This is electric flux density. I just have written flux density. A vector independent of epsilon. I am going to write a vector independent of permittivity epsilon is defined as vector D is equal to epsilon into vector E. Unit of vector D is coulombs per meter square. This I call as equation 1. In equation 1, vector D is known as electric flux density, which I have written here as just flux density, where vector D is known as electric flux density, and has the unit coulombs per meter square. Since vector E is equal to Q divided by 4 pi epsilon into R square AR cap, equation 1 becomes vector D is equal to Q divided by 4 pi R square into AR cap. Let me explain once again. We have defined a vector independent of permittivity epsilon as vector D is equal to epsilon into vector E. In this equation 1, vector D is known as electric flux density and has the unit coulombs per meter square. The expression for vector E is Q by 4 pi epsilon R square into AR cap. This I will substitute in equation 1, that leads to equation number 2. Please note that vector D and vector E act along the same direction. Vector D and vector E act along the same direction. It may be noted that vector D and vector E act along the same direction. Because both have the same unit vector. AR cap. We noted that vector D and vector E act along the same direction because both have the same unit vector AR cap. Next, let me tell you the concept of electric flux density. Let me take a closed surface. This is some surface S. It could be closed or open. Let me tell you the difference between a closed surface and an open surface. If you take a balloon, if you inflate the balloon and tie the mouth of the balloon, it becomes a closed surface. If the mouth of the balloon is open, then it's called an open surface. Please don't think all three-dimensional surfaces are closed surfaces. Again I repeat, to explain a closed surface, take a balloon, inflate the balloon and tie the mouth of the balloon. Then it becomes a closed surface. If the mouth of the balloon is not tied, it becomes an open surface. all two-dimensional surfaces are open surfaces, but all three-dimensional surfaces need not be closed surfaces. Here I have taken some surface, it could be closed or it could be open. I have taken, let me take a small elemental volume, a small elemental area ds. A small elemental area ds. Let us assume this surface S has enclosed a charge Q. Once I say it has enclosed a charge Q, then it has to be a closed surface. I have assumed if you say the surface is enclosing a charge, then the surface has to be a closed surface. The midpoint of ds and q have a separation equal to r. If you keep 1 coulomb charge at point P, it will be repelled, and that force is vector E. The direction of vector D and vector E are same. Therefore, vector D also acts along the same direction. Only thing is the magnitudes are different. In this case, since I am interested in the concept of electric flux density, instead of taking vector E, I will write vector D. I just wrote vector E first to show its direction. How vector D is acting? Vector D is given by, correct, it has a magnitude D and a direction given by AR cap. Direction given by AR cap. The magnitude of vector D could be dr. I am going to write now. Let us enclose a charge Q inside a closed surface, as shown in the figure. The electric flux psi coming out of the closed surface S, is given by psi is equal to closed surface integral vector d dot ds. Unit of vector D is coulombs per meter square. Unit of ds is meter square. Therefore, coulombs per meter square into meter square gives you the unit of psi as coulombs. So, unit of electric flux is psi. So, what we have written here, let us consider a charge Q inside a closed surface as shown in the figure. The electric flux psi coming out of this closed surface is given by closed surface integral. This small circle on the integral indicates it's a closed surface. If it's an open surface, we don't put this small circle. It's given by vector d dot ds. In fact, note d dot ds gives the electric flux d psi coming out of the elemental area ds. So if you want to understand the concept of flux coming out of a closed surface, you have to enclose a charge, then you have to take an elemental area, find the direction of vector D, multiply vector D and ds using the dot product, then integrate over the closed surface. This closed surface integral is a double integral. This is the concept of electric flux and electric flux density. Next I will go to Gauss law. Next I will go to Gauss law. Very important law. See, Coulomb's law is an experimental law. The result of Coulomb's law can be validated analytically by using Gauss law. So let me give the statement of Gauss law. The statement of Gauss law is the total electric flux coming out of a closed surface. A closed surface is very important. Coming out of a closed surface, S is equal to net charge enclosed. This is the statement of Gauss law. The total electric flux coming out of a closed surface S is equal to the net charge enclosed. Mathematically this means electric flux psi is equal to Q enclosed. Charge enclosed is written as Q suffix enclosed. Or what is psi? Closed surface integral vector d dot ds is equal to charge enclosed. This is the mathematical statement of Gauss law. Gauss law is valid only if the surface is a closed surface. And this integral has to be a closed surface integral. Explanation. Let me take a closed surface, arbitrary surface, enclosing charges Q1 and Q2. This is the total flux coming out of the closed surface. So this indicates closed surface, yes. The electric flux coming out of the closed surface must be equal to net charge enclosed. According to Gauss law, psi is equal to Q enclosed means Q1 plus Q2. Please remember, a closed surface could be made up of many open surfaces. You take a cube. Cube has got 6 faces. Each face is an open surface, whereas cube as a whole is a closed surface. So Gauss law is applicable only for closed surfaces. In the beginning I told you what is an open surface, what is a closed surface. All open surfaces are two-dimensional figures. But all closed surfaces all closed surfaces are three-dimensional figures. But what I mean to say is, to explain this, but all three-dimensional surfaces are not closed surfaces. I made a mistake. Closed surface means it has to be three-dimensional. But all three-dimensional surfaces are not closed surfaces. You take a balloon. When a balloon is inflated and its mouth is tied, it becomes a closed surface. When the mouth of the balloon is open, it is called an open surface, even though it's a three-dimensional surface. Now next I will go to the proof of Gauss law. Next I will go to the proof of Gauss law. Let me take a closed surface, an arbitrary surface, closed surface. Let this closed surface enclose a charge Q. This is some arbitrary closed surface S. We have to prove electric flux psi coming out of this closed surface equal to Q. This is the proof that is required. I take a small elemental area. This elemental area is ds. P is the midpoint of this elemental area is indicated by a dot here. The distance between midpoint of ds and charge q is r. If you keep 1 coulomb charge at point P, it will be repelled. That gives the direction of both vector D and vector E. This is vector D. It acts along the line connecting the charge Q and the midpoint of the elemental area. This is vector D. Vector D is what? dr into AR cap. Vector D is dr into AR cap. AR cap is a unit vector in the direction of R. This is AR cap. AR cap gives the direction of vector R. This is AR cap. AR cap. Let the closed surface S. Let the closed surface S enclose a charge Q as shown in the adjoining figure. The flux d psi coming out of the elemental area ds is given by d psi is equal to vector d dot ds. I call this as equation 1. In a spherical coordinate system, vector ds has got 3 components. What are the coordinates of a spherical coordinate system? R, theta, phi. R is associated with suffix 1, theta is associated with suffix 2, phi is associated with suffix 3. What is ds1? ds1 is nothing but dr. ds1 is nothing but dsr. What is dsr? dl2 into dl3. What is dl2? dl2 is what? dl2 is what? r into d theta. dl3 is what? r sin theta d phi. This is dsr. What is ds2? ds2 is nothing but ds theta is equal to what? dl1 into dl3. dl1 is what? dr. dl3 is what? r sin theta d phi. What is ds3? ds3 is ds phi is equal to what? dl1 into dl2. What is dl1? dl1 is equal to dr. dl2 is what? r into d theta. So vector ds has got components dsr, ds theta and ds phi. This is for your information. This you can write as a note only. This is a note. No need to write this note in the examination. You must know what is dsr, ds theta and ds phi. What are their expressions? Also note that ar cap dot ar cap is what? 1. Ar cap dot a theta cap is equal to 0. Ar cap dot a phi cap is equal to 0. Ar cap dot ar cap is equal to 1. Ar cap dot a theta cap is equal to 0. Ar cap dot a phi cap is equal to 0. The total electric flux psi coming out of the closed surface S is psi is equal to double integral, closed surface integral, which comprises of two integrals, therefore it's a double integral, correct? D psi equals closed surface integral. What is d psi? Vector d dot ds. This implies psi is equal to closed surface integral. What is vector d? dr into ar cap dot. What is vector ds? Vector ds is what? dsr into ar cap plus ds theta into a theta cap plus ds phi into a phi cap. Now apply the dot product. ar cap is 1. ar cap dot a theta cap is 0. ar cap dot a phi cap 0. Therefore, this becomes double integral dr into dsr. What is dsr? dsr is nothing but r square sin theta d theta d phi over the domains of theta and phi. So this is nothing but theta varies from 0 to pi. Phi varies from 0 to 2 pi for a sphere. dr into what is dsr? r square sin theta d theta d phi. Now dr into r square, pull it out. Change the order of integrals. First take variation with respect to phi, then take variations with respect to theta. Sin theta d theta. This implies psi is equal to dr into r square. This, if you integrate d phi, you get phi. Limits between 0 and 2 pi into sin theta. If you integrate, you get minus cos theta between 0 and pi. So this becomes psi is equal to dr into r square into 2 pi into 2. So this implies psi is equal to dr into 4 pi r square. What is dr? What is vector d? What is vector d? We have vector d is equal to what? Q divided by 4 pi r square into ar cap. Coefficient of ar cap is what? dr. This is dr. We have vector d is equal to q divided by 4 pi r square into ar cap. Coefficient of ar cap is dr. Hence psi is equal to q divided by 4 pi r square into 4 pi r square. 4 pi r square gets cancelled. This implies psi is equal to q. Hence the proof. That means electric flux coming out of this closed surface must be equal to charge enclosed. Since q is in coulombs, psi also will be in coulombs. This is the proof of Gauss law. This is the proof of Gauss law. Now we go to applications of Gauss law. Before going to applications, I will teach you how to select the Gaussian surface. How to select the Gaussian surface. Selection of Gaussian surface. Selection of Gaussian surface. Mathematically, Gauss law states, psi is equal to closed surface integral vector d dot ds. The closed surface S must be chosen based on the following conditions. following conditions. First one, if vector D is normal at all points on the closed surface S, on the closed surface S, then equation 1 reduces to psi is equal to closed surface integral d into ds. The dot product becomes simple mathematical product. The dot product of two vectors has now reduced to simple arithmetic product of two scalars d and ds. Please note that d and ds are at right angles to each other. Second one, if vector d has same value as uniform value means same value, uniform value at all points on the closed surface, yes, then equation 2 becomes psi is equal to d into closed surface integral ds. That means d can be pulled out of the integral. I again repeat, the power of Gauss law lies in the selection of the Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface selection is the most trickiest thing while solving problems on Gauss law. There are two conditions that have to be met for selecting the Gaussian surface. Condition 1 is vector d must be normal to the surface S. When vector d is normal to the surface S, the dot product becomes simple mathematical product. Second criterion is if vector d has uniform values at all points on the closed surface, then d can be taken outside the integral in equation 2. Based on these two conditions, correctly select the Gaussian surface. Note, if vector d is tangential to vector ds, then d dot ds equal to 0. D dot ds is equal to 0. Very, very important. So in the examination, they will ask state Gauss law, explain Gauss law, give mathematical proof of Gauss law. Then they may say, state the important criterion or criteria for selecting the Gaussian surface. Two important criteria have been listed over here. Next, I will proceed to applications of Gauss law. I again repeat, there are two types of surfaces, open surface and closed surface. Gauss law is applicable only for closed surfaces. Please keep this in mind. Applications of Gauss law. Applications of Gauss law. First one, to find electric field intensity due to a point charge. Let Q be the point charge. Now construct a Gaussian surface. Normally we indicate Gaussian surface by dotted lines. It's a Gaussian surface, here is a sphere. The radius of the Gaussian surface is r. So this is the Gaussian surface. Yes. You take a point P on the Gaussian surface. You take point P could be anywhere on the Gaussian. It's a sphere. Gaussian surface is a sphere of radius equal to r. If you keep 1 coulomb charge at point P, an arbitrary point on the surface of the sphere, Gaussian sphere, the 1 coulomb charge will be repelled. That gives the direction of vector D. Vector D is in the radial direction. Vector D is dr into ar cap. Coefficient of ar cap is dr. The unit vector in the direction of r is what? Unit vector in the direction of r is ar cap. These are the flux lines coming out of the Gaussian surface. Construct a Gaussian surface. Construct a Gaussian surface S, which is a sphere, of radius equal to r. Radius equal to r, and is as shown in figure 1. This I will call figure 1. Step number 1. There are 3 steps involved. Step number 1. According to Gauss law, electric flux coming out of the Gaussian surface is psi is equal to q. Psi is equal to q coulomb. Psi equal to q coulombs. Second one. The electric flux density. To find, second step, to find electric flux density at point P. What is psi? Psi is equal to closed surface integral vector d dot ds. Is nothing but closed surface integral. What is vector d? dr into ar cap. Vector ds has got 3 components, as I told earlier: dsr, ds theta, ds phi. Please note that vector d has got unit vector ar cap. Therefore, it is sufficient if you take only the component dsr, because the dot product of ar cap with a theta cap will be 0. Dot product of ar cap with a phi cap will be 0. Therefore, no need to write those expressions. Please note that dr is in the r direction. dsr is the area perpendicular to r direction. What I mean by that is dr and dsr are perpendicular to each other. ar cap dot ar cap is what? 1. Closed surface integral, the double integral over the domains of theta and phi. dr, what is dsr? dsr, dl1 is what? dr. What is dl2? dl2 is r into d theta. What is dl3? r into sin theta d phi. Therefore, dsr is equal to dl2 into dl3 is equal to r square sin theta d phi. This is a note. This is for your inference only. This you can write in the margin. So what is dsr? dsr is r square sin theta d phi. Theta for a sphere varies from 0 to pi. Phi varies from 0 to 2 pi. So this implies psi is equal to dr into r square integral phi is equal to 0 to 2 pi d phi integral theta is equal to 0 to pi sin theta d theta. So this implies psi is equal to dr into r square 2 pi. This integral when you evaluate gives a value equal to 2. So this implies dr is equal to psi divided by 4 pi r square. What is 4 pi r square? Surface area of the sphere. Therefore, surface area of the sphere is given by, what I mean is, closed surface integral of ds gives you surface area of the sphere, which is 4 pi r square. Very important. From step number 1, what is psi? Psi is q. So q divided by 4 pi r square. So many coulombs per meter square. Hence, what is vector d? Vector d is equal to dr into ar cap equals q divided by 4 pi r square into ar cap. So many coulombs per meter square. Third step, to find electric field intensity at point P. We know that vector d is equal to epsilon into vector E. This implies vector E is equal to vector d divided by epsilon is equal to q divided by 4 pi epsilon r square into ar cap. Unit is volts per meter. This expression was earlier stated by Coulomb's law in his experiment. Q divided by 4 pi epsilon r square is electric field intensity at point P due to a point charge Q. Correct? We had got the same expression using Coulomb's law. There was no mathematical proof for it. It was only experimental statement. Now that experimental statement is authenticated by using Gauss law. So we have used 3 steps to find the electric field intensity. First and foremost thing is selection of Gaussian surface. We'll select the Gaussian surface. Please note that any point on the surface of the sphere is equidistant from the center of the sphere. Therefore, vector d is constant at all points on the surface of the sphere. And at all points on the surface of the sphere, vector d is normal or perpendicular to the surface of the sphere. For example, you take a sphere, transparent sphere, keep a bulb at the center of the sphere will be illuminated brightly and equally at all points. Correct? Since intensity of illumination is equal, we say intensity of illumination is uniform. Correct? Now, this is the expression, this is application number 1. I will go to second application. To find electric field intensity due to an infinite line charge. This derivation I have done by using Coulomb's law earlier. What is the expression that we got using Coulomb's law? Vector E is equal to rho L divided by 2 pi epsilon rho into A rho cap. The same expression we will now obtain by using Gauss law. Let us say this is the infinite line charge. Let us say this is the infinite line charge. Let us assume that infinite line charge is kept on z-axis. Infinite line charge is aligned with respect to z-axis. What is the charge density? Rho L coulombs per meter. At point P, let us say this is the midpoint of the infinite line charge, or we shall assume infinite line charge is kept symmetrically with respect to origin. P is the point of interest. P is the point of interest where we have to find electric field intensity. Whatever I said, I will pen it down. Let us assume that the infinite line charge, line charge is aligned on z axis. Okay. Next is selection of Gaussian surface. So Gaussian surface is selected to be a cylinder. Gaussian surface is selected to be a cylinder. The radius of the cylinder is rho. If you keep 1 coulomb charge at point P, it will be repelled by this infinite line charge. That means this is vector D. Vector D is what? D rho into A rho cap. What is A rho cap? Unit vector in the direction of rho is A rho cap. Construct a Gaussian surface. Which is a sphere, which is a cylinder of radius equal to rho and height equal to 1 meter. That means this point is at z, that means this is z equal to 0.5 and this is z equal to minus 0.5. So what is the height? Height is 1 meter. Okay, height is 1 meter. So z varies from minus 0.5 to plus 0.5. This is z equal to 0.5. This is z equal to minus 0.5. Height of the cylinder could be anything. I have taken here as 1 meter. Even you can take as L meters. In that case, this will be 0.5 L, this will be minus 0.5 L. So what I said, construct a Gaussian surface, a cylinder of radius equal to rho and height equal to 1 meter as shown in the figure. Next we will apply 3 steps like we did earlier to find what is electric field intensity at point P. Step number 1, according to Gauss law. Step number 1, according to Gauss law, electric flux coming out of the Gaussian surface is psi is equal to Q. What is Q? Rho L into 1. Rho L coulombs for 1 meter. So what is the length of the Gaussian cylinder? 1 meter. So inside is 1 meter. What is the charge contained? Rho L multiplied by 1. So it is rho L coulombs. Second step, to find electric flux density. At point P. P is the point of interest. We know that psi is equal to closed surface integral vector d dot ds. This closed surface integral is made up of 3 open integrals. Surface integral d dot ds for top face. This is the top face. Open surface integral vector d dot ds for the bottom face. This is the bottom face. Plus open surface integral d dot ds for the cylindrical face or cylindrical surface. So if you take this as a cylinder, this is the top face, this is the bottom face, and this is the cylindrical surface. Now you see, vector D is in rho direction. That means it is tangential to top face and bottom face. When vector d is tangential to a surface, that integral will vanish. These two integrals are 0 because to the top face and bottom face, vector d is tangential. The first two integrals on the right hand side vanish because vector d is tangential to top and bottom faces. Top and bottom faces. Hence, psi is equal to open surface integral vector d dot ds on the cylindrical surface. Nothing but what is vector d? Vector d is what? D rho into a rho cap dot. Now we are doing the problem in cylindrical coordinate system. For a cylindrical coordinate system, dl1 is d rho, dl2 is equal to rho into d phi, dl3 is equal to dz. So vector d contains unit vector a rho cap. Therefore, vector ds also should contain unit vector a rho cap. So this is nothing but ds rho into unit vector a rho cap. If you take a phi cap and az cap, the dot product of those two unit vectors with respect to a rho cap will be 0. So don't take it. So what is important is d rho is the direction of a rho cap. The area ds rho is perpendicular to a rho cap. Therefore, d rho and ds rho are perpendicular to each other. This implies psi is equal to double integral a rho cap dot a rho cap is 1, d rho, what is ds rho? dl2 into dl3. Therefore, this is rho into d phi into dz. This is nothing but ds rho over the domains of phi and z. Phi varies from 0 to 2 pi. Z varies from minus 0.5 to plus 0.5. So rho into d rho, you take outside the integral. D phi you integrate, you get phi. Put the limits 0 to 2 pi. Dz if you integrate, you get z. Limits from minus 0.5 to plus 0.5. So this gives you d rho into 2 pi rho into 1. This when you put limits, this bracket will give you 1. When you put limits, this bracket will give you 2 pi. So see what is the surface area of a cylinder? 2 pi rho h. 2 pi r h. R is rho and what is h? 1 meter. Same expression I have got here. From this expression, we get what is d rho? D rho is nothing but psi divided by 2 pi rho. What is psi from step number 1? Rho L. Rho L divided by 2 pi rho. Hence, vector d is equal to d rho into a rho cap equals rho L divided by 2 pi rho into a rho cap. So many coulombs per meter square. Step number 3. To find electric field intensity at point P. We know that vector D is equal to E. This implies vector E is equal to vector D divided by epsilon. What is vector D? Substitute from here. Rho L divided by 2 pi rho. So this becomes 2 pi epsilon into rho into a rho cap. So many volts per meter. This result we had earlier obtained by performing integration, making use of standard integral, etc. Here, easily derived by using the concept of Gauss law. So most important critical point here is selection of Gaussian surface. Thank you.